And now we interrupt our regular programming for tips and tricks. How to make fiberglass putty.
Here is the pile of supplies. This is fiberglass mat, which when you cut into small little pieces, that becomes the way it's matted, it's easier to flake than the biaxial. So whenever I'm using the putty, whenever I make the putty, I always use matte fiberglass. The other thing I always use is gflex toughened epoxy. They also have a toughened adhesive, but it's a toughened and thickened adhesive. So this is more viscous because it's just the epoxy. But I do need it thickened, but I'll thicken it myself. So I also got some silica, which is a thickener, and will thicken the epoxy when I need it. All right, also need a pair of scissors. Obviously the acetone, that is the only thing I use when it comes to this stuff. Oh, some mixers and a couple little cups. I'm gonna go get set up and some gloves. And we're gonna make this putty while Bob sits in the sun and dries out a little bit. Okay, so I cut a little piece of fiberglass mat. I chopped it up. And this is where we start. That's just the fiberglass mat. Now I'm going to put the thickener and the resin in here. I don't put the hardener in till last. So just remember that. The key here for making fiberglass putty is hardener goes last. When I'm making putty, I use gflex toughened epoxy. This stuff is the shit. And I say it's the shit because after I fiberglassed Bob and I used this product and we did the whole bottom and then accidentally crashed Bob onto the rocks, the jetty rocks, this stuff held. We live to fight another day, so I use this stuff a lot, and now you can get it in quarts, which is extremely exciting. Okay. Here's the resin. And now I'm just going to add some, now remember this is just the resin. Now I'm going to add the thickener. The thickener is the colloidal silica. I don't use the fairing compound because that's for sanding and this is more structural. So hold on while I pour it. Also, it flies all over the place and you should hold your breath. Don't breathe it in. It's kind of like baby powder almost. Maybe more beaded than that. It has more beads. But I just start with an amount I can manage. Let's just start there. Let's see. I'm going to mix it up. So hold on. All right. So you just mix. If I find out that I maybe put too much silica in, I don't mix big batches, but if I put too much silica in, then I can add resin without having any problems. That's another reason why I put the hardener in last. And the instructions will tell you, not to do that, but there is no instructions that I know of for this. Like, I don't know how many people are doing this. So this has worked really well for me, and there's no reason why you cannot put the hardener in last. Just make sure that you calculate and you keep track of how much resin, because you use the same amount of resin as in hardener. So however much resin you use, you need the same amount of hardener. If you don't mix equal parts, then you will get problems. So hold on while I finish this up. Okay, now that it's mixed, this is the resin and the silica. Now I'm going to put the fiberglass in there, but before I do, I made sure that the putty was spread out so that the fiberglass goes into the center of the ball, and then you will mix around. You want to make sure to saturate the glass and the putty with and the fiberglass. You want to make sure you really saturate the fiberglass and get it in there. Okay, so hold on. Okay. So that is me pouring the fiberglass in. And now we're going to mix it. Okay. All right. Now this is mixed. And you can see the hairs from the glass. And the thickness is really good. Like, this is not your kid's silly putty. This stuff is very, very strong. But fortunately, it's still wet. And I sort of want to add some more thickener. What the hell? Resin. I kind of want to add more resin, but then I kind of really like this. And when I add the hardener, it's gonna make it a little bit more gooey, right? Right now it looks sort of dry, but when I do the hardener, it won't. I think I'm just gonna add just a little bit of resin just in case. Hold on. Okay, so I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of resin just to make sure that there's enough there and everything is fully saturated. We don't want it not saturated enough. And mix it again and just really saturate the glass and the silica. And just really do it a little more. All right, you guys can't really see that well, so I'm just gonna put the phone down, mix it, and I'll get the hardener out. All right, this is the hardener. They come in the same bottle. So what I try to do, I look at where it is on that bottle, where the resin is, and I don't go below that line with the hardener. The good news is that's actually a lot of resin. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pour quite a bit and not be too shy about what I'm pouring. And then I know, like, there's a lot, there's a long way to go. So, and then I'll set it down. Oops, all right, that's probably plenty. So hold on, I'm gonna set it down and let it drain down so I can get a sense of how much I used. All right, so as you can see, maybe you can't see, the levels are about the same. Here is the final mixed product. And we're up at the top of the ladder. This is the first hole. And I hope you guys can see that because I can't see. So, hold on. All right, so just like with the last time I sat here and fiberglassed, here it is again. I am gonna shove this putty down into this hole. All right. I don't know how the hole became a hole. I don't know if it's hollow in there. Kind of looks like it. So I'm just gonna shove it down in there and hope for the best. Because what I don't want it to be hollow, to be honest, because water can get in there. So now you see what I'm doing. I'm gonna pause it and get to work before this kicks. Okay, couple tips and tricks. That is going to take a couple of times to build it up. But there's no better tool when it comes to molding than your finger. Your wave. But the plastic gloves, they're great for like when you're mixing, when you're laying and all that stuff. But when you need to film and like mold and use your hands, get the finger. But you got to spit on it, because if you don't, it will stick to your fiberglass. So use your finger, spit on it. Don't be shy. Just spit. And then you can mold it up into the areas that you want. And keep working with it until you feel it start to get tacky, and keep pressing it into where you want until it starts getting tacky, and then you can just go do something else.